Zoax.net. Lesson 8. Float and Clear. In addition to the various types of positioning, CSS elements can be positioned using float and clear designations. Float and clear place elements much like static positioning, but with slightly different rules. So I will start by considering this document with 5 image elements. Each of the images has a margin, padding, border, and background color to show how these affect the placement. By default, elements are placed statically left to right and top to bottom. Opening this document in the browser, we see the elements placed left to right and top to bottom in the order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice that the bottom edge of the elements is aligned in each row. Again, the elements are placed left to right until there is no space. Then the elements are placed on the next row and aligned at the bottom. This document is exactly the same as the previous one, except that I have added float left specifications to each of the image elements. Using a float left specification places elements left to right and top to bottom, but the placement is different. Opening this document, we see the elements placed in this order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now all of these elements are specified as float left, and we see the images in the top row are no longer aligned at the bottom. Moreover, the fourth image is placed below the third one. This is because the third element doesn't extend down as far. So we can think of the fourth element as getting stuck on this element instead of getting pushed all the way to the left. We would almost never want this fourth image to get stuck like this. It looks sloppy. Even worse, the fifth image doesn't fit next to it and gets pushed to the next row. So we are left with this huge gap in the elements that makes everything look somewhat random and out of place. To fix this, we can use a clear specification. In this document, I have added a clear left specification to the fourth image element. This will push the element down below all of the elements in the previous row and all the way to the left. Fortunately, it will do the same for the fifth element. Opening this document, we see that the fourth element is below all of the elements in the previous row, and all the way to the left. Moreover, the fifth element is pushed down all the way to the left next to the fourth element. So this clear left specification on the fourth element also affects the fifth element so that it does not get stuck on the thinner image in the first row. Not only can we float elements to the left, we can float right as well. In this document, I put a float left specification on the first element and float right on the rest of them. As you might expect, the float right places elements right to left and top to bottom, much like float left does in the opposite direction. Opening this document, we have the images placed in this order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the image that was floated left is placed in the upper left corner. The next one that was floated right is placed in the upper right corner. The rest of the images were specified as float right, so they continue right to left. Again, the fourth image gets stuck on the third image and doesn't go all the way to the right. The fifth image is placed next to it, but down further under the left side image. This is a little bizarre. The images on the left and right could be of many different sizes, and we might want to just make sure that the next row of images is below all of them. To ensure that the remaining images are below the images on both sides, we can use a clear bow specification as I do in this document. Here, I added a clear bow specification to the third element. I also rearranged the order of some of the elements to better illustrate what clear bow does. Now all of the images have a float right specification except the first, which is float left. Opening this document, we have the elements placed in this order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first image was floated left, the second was floated right. The third was floated right with a clear bow specification. Notice that since it was clear both, it was put below the longer left-hand side element, and all of the rest of the elements are aligned with it in the second row.